They said it was just Ryan's family this year, keeping it small. 6 words that changed everything. 6 words that reminded me I'd never really been part of theirs. From where you're watching, I'd love to hear what you think, because sometimes being left out isn't the worst thing that can happen. Sometimes it's what finally sets you free. It was only 6 words. Just Ryan's family this year, keeping it small. That was it. No hi, honey. No love, Mom. Just a message that landed on my phone like a slap. I was sitting in my Manhattan office, corner suite, 12th floor, glass walls overlooking the Hudson River, sunlight catching on the water like scattered diamonds. Should have been a good day, but that text turned the view into nothing but glare. I read it once, then again, and it didn't change. Ryan is my brother, 4 years older, the golden boy since the day he was born. He stayed in our hometown of Cedar Ridge, took over Dad's auto shop, married his high school sweetheart, and had 3 perfect kids with identical dimples and a golden retriever named Scout. They were the glossy Christmas card family. Perfect smiles, perfect house, perfect life. And me? I was Ethan, the quiet one, the tech kid, the one who moved away and never looked back. I'd built a logistics software company from scratch. No investors, no backup plan, just sleepless nights, takeout noodles, and caffeine strong enough to wake the dead. Last year, I sold it for $170 million. That's not bragging. That's just what happened. But to my family, it didn't mean much, because success to them was still measured by how many people came to your barbecue. They didn't see ambition as strength. They saw it as distance. And so I became distant. When Mom's text came through, I sat there staring at it for a full minute. Like if I looked long enough, maybe she'd follow it up with just kidding, or of course you're invited. But the screen stayed quiet. And in that silence, I realized something. I didn't even feel angry. I just felt done. I thought about hosting Thanksgiving that year. Maybe this was the year I'd try. But that text decided everything for me. They didn't know I'd bought a 40-acre mountain lodge outside Asheville. Timber frame, glass walls overlooking a private lake, fireplace tall enough to walk into. I'd planned to surprise them with a family retreat. One last chance to feel like I belonged. Instead, they blindsided me. So I didn't call, didn't argue, didn't beg. Just typed one word back. Enjoy. Because sometimes silence says everything. Growing up in Indiana, I was always the shadow next to Ryan's spotlight. By 16, he was in the local paper. Quarterback leads Ridgeview to state playoffs. People used to buy him pie at the diner just for showing up. Mom would beam, Dad would nod proudly, and I'd be the quiet one at the table, just grateful they remembered to order me fries. Meanwhile, I spent my nights in the garage, surrounded by busted radios and secondhand circuit boards from Goodwill. I loved the smell of burnt solder, the hum of something broken coming back to life. Mom would glance up from her magazine sometimes and say, "That's nice, Ethan," before turning the page to Ryan's stats in the sports section. When I got accepted to MIT on a full scholarship, Dad's only reaction was, "That's pretty far, son. Sure you don't want to help your brother at the shop?" That was the day I realized they never really saw me. At every family dinner, I try to share something about my projects, microcontrollers, robotics, algorithms. And Mom would interrupt. "Ryan's expanding the store, you know. He's so good with people." By the time I turned 23, they forgot my birthday completely. 2 weeks later, I got a Christmas card. Ryan's family smiling in matching red sweaters. No message, just the photo. Kept it, not out of love but as proof. Proof of how easy it was to be forgotten. At 25, I was living in a shoebox apartment in St. Louis. Wallpaper peeling. Air mattress half deflated. Dinner was canned soup. Breakfast was instant coffee. But I was building something, a platform that could reroute medical supplies in real time when transport chains failed. Hospitals were struggling. Shipments delayed. Lives depending on timing. Nobody cared about logistics until people started dying because of it. And when that moment came, my little company became essential. We were a team of 7. We slept in shifts. We coded through storms. We kept the system alive when everything else was breaking. And one day the call came. A major health network wanted to buy us out. At first, I thought it was spam. Then the wire hit my account. Just like that. Overnight, my life changed. That's when I bought the property. 40 acres in the Blue Ridge Mountains. A lodge built from reclaimed timber, with a wraparound porch overlooking the lake, a boathouse, and silence thick enough to feel sacred. I didn't tell anyone. Not because I was hiding it, because no one ever asked. When Mom's text came, just Ryan's family this year, keeping it small, I sat in that quiet house, looking out at the water, and something in me broke, just softly enough to be final. That night, I called my cousin Leo. He picked up with his usual sarcasm. "What's up, stranger? You finally done making billions? You get invited this year?" I asked. He laughed, but it wasn't happy. "Nope, just Ryan's crew. Even Grandma didn't make the cut." That made my jaw tighten. "You want to do something better?" I said. He paused. "Like what?" "Everywhere's booked." "I've got a place," I told him. "Big enough for 30. There was silence on the line. Then, "You're serious?" "Dead serious." By morning, Leo texted back, "We're in." Then more messages started rolling in. Cousins, aunts, uncles, 12, then 20. Then Grandma called. She didn't even say hello. Just, "Tell me what to pack." And that was the first time in my life my family had ever asked to come to me. The week before Thanksgiving was chaos, the good kind. I hired a local chef who unpacked her cast iron pans like she was moving in for war. Every guest room had something personal, crosswords and chamomile tea for Aunt June, cigars and bourbon for Uncle Pete, toy trucks for the kids. By the time the first SUV pulled up the gravel drive, the air smelled like pine and roasted garlic. Leo stepped out, jaw hanging open. "This is yours?" he asked. "Every beam," I said. By 5 o'clock, the place was alive. Kids laughing, music drifting from the speakers, candles flickering in the dusk, the sound of clinking glasses, the smell of turkey crisping in the oven. No kids' table. No favorites. Just one long table under a vaulted ceiling, and for once, laughter didn't feel forced. Halfway through dinner, Grandma reached across the table, took my hand, and whispered, "You gave us Thanksgiving back." That hit harder than any deal I'd ever closed. The next morning, I woke up to 10 missed calls. 5 texts, all from Mom, Dad, and Ryan. Ryan's message said, "Really classy move." I let it sit there, drank my toffee, watched the fog burn off the lake. Then I called Mom. She answered fast. "Ethan, why didn't you tell us? Everyone's talking about your house. You said you were keeping it small," I said quietly. "That wasn't about you," she insisted. "We just thought you'd be busy." "With what, Mom?" I cut in. "Being left out again?" There was silence on the line. Then, from the living room behind me, Grandma's voice called out, "Put them on speaker, Ethan." I did, and Grandma, God bless her, she let loose. "You've ignored this boy since he was a kid," she said, voice shaking but strong. "Acted like he didn't belong. Now you're shocked he built something without you? You should be grateful he even invited the rest of us." Silence. Then Grandma said softly, "You ever think, if you'd made room for him at your table, you'd be sitting at his now?" No one said a word, and I didn't need to. I ended the call, set the phone down, and looked out across the water, sunlight rippling like forgiveness. And for the first time in my life, my chest didn't feel heavy. The rest of that weekend felt like healing. Bonfires at night, card games and laughter. Stories I'd never heard because no one had ever slowed down to tell them. No drama, no tension, just peace. And somewhere between the smell of pine and the sound of my cousins laughing on the porch, I realized that family isn't who you're born to, it's who chooses to show up. 2 days later, as the last car pulled out of the driveway, my phone buzzed. Ryan again. This time it said, "Didn't expect that, but I get it." I didn't reply. Some things don't need quick answers. A few days after that, a letter arrived. Not an email, not a text, a handwritten note from Mom. Inside was her corn pudding recipe, the one she guarded like state secrets. The note read, "Thought you might want something from home." Maybe it was an apology. Maybe not. But I kept it anyway. When Christmas came, I did something unexpected. I invited them, Mom, Dad, Ryan, and his family. Just them. Small. At first, it was awkward, like learning a new language. Ryan's kids were polite. His wife brought pie. Mom brought too many napkins, like always. But slowly, it softened. We talked about real things, about choices, about distance, about how easy it is to forget people who stop fighting to be seen. Ryan didn't say much until the very end. When they were leaving, he shook my hand, looked me in the eye, and said, "You did good, man. Real good." And in that small sentence, I heard the thing I'd been waiting for since I was 12. That night, snow started falling outside, thick, soft, endless. I stood by the window, bourbon in hand, watching flakes blur the reflection of my own face. For once, I wasn't bitter. I wasn't angry. I wasn't wishing they'd been different. I was just grateful. Grateful that I'd become the man that quiet kid in the garage always dreamed of being. Because that kid, he never wanted fame. He just wanted peace. And now he finally had it. New Year's Eve came. I walked down to the dock, glass of bourbon in hand, cold wind cutting across the lake. The stars hung low, close enough to touch. The house behind me glowed like a promise. Laughter still echoing faintly from the night before. And standing there, I realized something simple. It didn't feel like the end of a year. It felt like the end of needing approval. Now I've got my home, my peace, my people, the ones who show up without needing an invitation. Grandma calls every week. The cousins are already planning Thanksgiving 2.0. And Mom, she sends recipes now. It's not perfect, but it's something. Sometimes, I walk out to the old boathouse and sit with my coffee, watching the lake turn gold in the morning light. And I think about that kid, the one hunched over a broken radio in a cold Indiana garage, dreaming of a world where he mattered. And I raise my glass to him. "Here's to you, kid," I whisper. "You made it." Because sometimes, being left out isn't the worst thing that can happen. Sometimes, it's what finally sets you free.